Hello, kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you for joining us for our Thursday update, recorded on January the 25th. And just a programming note, we have no video tomorrow Friday or on Monday next week, thanks to Auckland anniversary weekend. So let's have a look at the animated wind map. High pressure parked out in the Tasman Sea, low pressure out to the east, and a southeasterly breeze bringing in cloud along the eastern side of the country, but it's sunnier and warmer if you're on that western side. If you're in the lower South Island, you've got a warmer wind about to move through after a cold couple of days and nights. In comes this nor'wester out of the Tasman Sea, and that's going to help lift up temperatures. Meanwhile, in Australia, Tropical Cyclone Kirrily, that is now moving in towards Townsville, expected to make landfall tonight as a Category 2 storm. We've got another video out today just about that one. Let's move on and take a look at the rainfall that is about to come in with that nor'wester. Nothing too dramatic, but you could be getting up to about 100 millimetres of rain, so that could spark some rain warnings over in Westland. Into Friday's setup, so there is that rainfall. That rain map I just showed you is from tomorrow morning onwards, and you can see that just starting here, caught up in this northwesterly. Now the red line measures air thickness, so north of that line, hot and tropical. So when you see it sort of come out like that and a windy nor'wester with it, it does mean that the airflow is warmer. So this weekend, back to the hot weather in some places, back into the mid to late 20s, maybe even the 30s, depending on where you are over the weekend. Maybe not so much on Friday, but on Saturday, those windy westerlies come back in again. So those in the east may be seeing those temperatures come up. And this is a subtropical airflow, so it will be fairly mild again, and that humidity goes back up. We are still obviously in the middle of summer, but all the windy westerlies here means temperatures in the east will be higher and drier, cloudier and wetter, and slightly cooler along the western side of all of New Zealand and down around Southland. By the way, fairly typical El Niño looking maps at the moment. It's quite interesting. When you zoom out and look at the whole region, it doesn't look like El Niño at all. So many cyclones and lows up in the tropics. But when you just take a closer look at New Zealand, high pressure out here in the southeastern corner of Aussie, west to southwest winds for New Zealand, dry in the east, a high to the north. That is fairly classic El Niño summer weather. So we've got a bit of a temperature change coming through this weekend with that front. Sunday will be a fairly warm, humid, muggy day once again for those in the north of the country. But another change comes through, just like Monday of this week, kicks off with a cooler air conditioning kind of note as that southerly flow comes in around the next high. So there will be some rain and showers around on the eastern side, nothing too major, and most places drying out, but certainly a cooler night coming back in for the south. And it'll stay that way into Tuesday as high pressure goes over the top of you. Low pressure out here is worth keeping an eye on because it's pulling down subtropical air into it and then sort of bringing that back up as what I like to call a fake southerly or a fake southeasterly. And that can be very hot for Waikato, Bay of Plenty, Auckland and Northland, having a breezy southeaster like that. It's like a reverse nor'wester that they see in Canterbury. So this is worth keeping an eye on. But as we go through the week, high pressure remains over the South Island and this low remains very nearby. So that could produce some afternoon thunderstorms and showers and things like that. Depends on exactly where the centre of that is though. It could be a little further over this way, more wet weather and cloud, further to the east, drier and hotter for the whole country. And yes, a couple of tropical cyclones newly forming potentially next week, worth keeping an eye on. Again, Queensland could be looking at its third cyclone in just a short amount of time. But yeah, a lot of low pressure. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5, maybe even 6 low pressure zones all in the tropics. That's very unusual for El Niño, but the marine heat waves we're seeing out here are unusual. So you got this sort of El Niño weather pattern to some degree in the New Zealand area, and then like a La Niña pattern carrying on up in the tropics. So we end here next week, going into the second day of February, and potential cyclone, might be just a tropical low, but you can see there's a lot of energy up there. But this high pressure zone down around Melbourne and Hobart will be giving us a little bit of protection as it sort of zips out here, might control that storm. And then you got this storm in the Southern Ocean producing windy westerlies right across the country. Not locked in, it's still 8 days away. But you do kind of get the understanding that there is a fair bit of variety at the moment in our weather map around this part of the world. So we've got a mixture of big summer-like highs And then we've got these lows that all need to have a close eye on them because any one of them could end up coming down our way. That's all from me. Have a good weekend for those of you who do have a long weekend. Auckland and Nelson, I think it's the anniversary weekends for them. That's about half of New Zealand has this weekend, the Monday off. We're taking the Friday off as well. So we'll see you again on Tuesday, but don't forget our special cyclone update. That's also out today, Thursday.